At the start here, I'd like to apologize if I get a little emotional here. This is a very tough topic for me. I've always dealt with this type of stuff myself and with people I've known in my orbit. I've lost friends before to this type of stuff, to suicide. And I have again recently at the beginning of this year. So this is difficult, but I know it's no more difficult. It can't be more difficult for me than it was for Eden and other people. So let's talk about this really quick. Eden Knight, also known as Solaris and other pseudonyms online, was somebody in the political, music, all that type of space who knew a lot of people who I knew on Twitter. She was in America. She originally was born in Saudi Arabia to a Saudi Arabian family and moved to America for school in Georgia. And recently, in the last couple of years, came out as trans while in America. Unfortunately, while in Georgia, she lost her housing, her student housing, and her student visa left after that. And so, but she didn't want to be sent back to Saudi Arabia for all the reasons that we would understand. That being said, she stayed in America for some time, found friends and family, found a community that loved her, had found family that supported her, and had a roommate, had a partner, had a lot of things going for her. But the powers that be from Saudi Arabia snuffed out the life that she had and the spark that she had and that she inspired in other people due to their profound transphobia that led to her seeing no other option forward but to take her own life. We found this out recently on the 12th when she posted her final message on Twitter talking about how she can't keep going on like this, how she was sent back to Saudi Arabia by fixers, supposed fixers, back to her family, where, if you don't know, trans people are treated basically subhuman, gay people as well. And this is the same exact week where 3 trans people died of torture in a Saudi Arabian prison. And not too long after, a gay man was sentenced to 500 lashings and 5 years in prison for simply saying that gay people deserve better in Saudi Arabia. It's not a good place. She wanted to seek asylum in America, but that was taken from her as well, as unfortunate as it is. I'm not talking about this story simply to just let you all know. I'm talking about this story to help talk about the legacy that she wanted to leave and bring up issues that we have in our system and systems across the world that fail trans people and failed Eden and will keep failing them time and time again. What happened that actually forced her to leave the country was she was basically, for all intents and purposes, groomed and abducted by fixers who were hired by her family, specifically her dad, who is incredibly powerful. She didn't come from some no-name family in Saudi Arabia. She came from a reasonably powerful family, but with all that power and all that money, they couldn't find it in their heart to accept the daughter that they had. And so what happened is that while she was struggling in America and wanted to find asylum, her dad paid 2 people, a person who works in the country. His name was Michael Picalco, and Ellen Bader, who is a Saudi Arabian lawyer. And both of these people together basically reached out to Eden, groomed her into believing that they wanted to fix the problem between her and her parents and the issue that she had with her legal status here in America. And so what they did was they went to her. They said, hey, we can fix all these problems. Hey, everything's going to be all right. All you need to do is stick with us for some time and we'll make all of these problems go away. While underhandedly, out of her knowledge, they were actually working with her dad to drag her back to Saudi Arabia so she could be forcibly detransitioned and forced to be made to live as a man or tortured to death in Saudi Arabian prison. One of the two, and honestly, probably both, is the main goal for what was going on here. So they took her and they separated her from her friends, basically, to connect her back up with the Saudi Arabian government and her Saudi Arabian family. And this was chronicled by her herself, as well as her old roommate, who basically said that although she did ask for my involvement, they outright refused to allow me to be involved. They said that it was because the situation at hand was too complicated to involve other people, and they didn't want to jeopardize the plans that could have happened. I really thought that this was strange because I was the one that was housing her at the time, and I felt obligated to be involved, not just obliged. So basically what happened is they cut her off from everybody who supported her, who loved her, who actually cared about her, with the promise of fixing the issues and being able to live a real happy life without the fear of deportation or pain or suffering or anything like the sort. That's what the promise was. It was a lie. And once they finally got her in their grasp, and once they finally had the ability to section her and get her alone, the goal was after that would be to say, you will follow our rules and then we'll make all of these problems go away. And so they've made her get off of HRT. They made her cut her hair and detransition. And then after that, once everything was finally in place and there was no way for her to get away from them because she became dependent on them for food and for housing and for safety and money. Then they basically dangled over her head, like being completely deported and kicked out of America and separated from her friends and family if she doesn't follow their rules. And so she had no choice but to listen to them and go back to and then go back to Saudi Arabia, where then she was completely forcefully detransitioned. And that's when she realized that there probably wasn't any escape. And no one can get mad at her for making the choice that she did. It's an incredibly sad choice, but that's the choice that these people put trans people in when all they care about is the person that they want to see and not the person that's actually there. These people, her family, would much rather have a dead son than a live daughter. And that's just the fact of the matter. That's what it is. This is how she ends her note. I wish this world wasn't so fucking comically cruel. I'm actually laughing writing this sentence. It's unironically ridiculous how bad my luck has been in the last couple of weeks. Someone just walked past my car and glanced at me. I wonder if they know I'm going to kill myself. I wonder what they would think about me if they knew who I actually was. I want to be a leader for trans people, but that wasn't written to happen. I hope the world gets better for us. I hope our people get old, and I hope we get to see our kids grow up and fight for us. I hope for trans rights worldwide. To my friends, the people who I chose to be my family, to my girlfriend, to everyone who has shown me kindness in my life, I sincerely thank you. You made an unbearable existence bearable at times. I am deeply sorry I have disappointed you all. I wish things were different. I wish I could tell her this, but she didn't disappoint anybody. From what I've heard from her friends, her chosen family, and the people who cared about her and knew her, she was one of the strongest people that they knew. The only thing that's disappointing here is how she was treated and how she was pushed to this end. She did nothing wrong. And there was no way that almost anybody could have done anything to really change the situation with the information that they knew. There's no reason for anyone to feel guilty or bad about what happened. They all did their best. And this is just what happens when the world that we built to crush the lives of trans people works perfectly fine. That's just what happens. There is nothing that she should be disappointed about, and I really hope that even in her last moments, she could think about the friends and the people who she inspired while she was here, while she was fighting, and laughing the entire time. Truly was a light. And even though I didn't interact with her that much, she was in my sphere of community, and she was an incredible person. She really was. I think one of the only interactions I really had with her, and you may still be able to find it on Twitter, is on some selfies of herself that I believe that she has deleted at this point in time, before her passing. I said she looked like Denims because she's, she came from like a similar area. She's from Saudi Arabia. I think Denim's family is from Morocco, if I remember correctly. So that like near Middle Eastern, Northern African style look. Every time I said it, it was always taken as a really big compliment because I think denims is a very is pretty as well, and I believe that she is very pretty too. And that's just about all that I had when it came to contact with her. We never really spoke, but I did see a lot of her tweets that popped up on my page before everything happened and everything went down, and she was forcefully removed from everything. I heard she was a really funny poster. Always knew how to make people laugh. Always was a light in the communities that she was in, and I thought that was an amazing thing. I never saw an L out of Eden, honestly. The only L really is that she paid for Twitter, but besides that, she never tripped up. Her story is reminiscent of a lot of stories that we hear a lot out of the trans community. It's incredibly sad, but it's something that gets talked about a lot, is that there's a lot of young trans people these days who, when they're online and when they see other trans people who want to live like them, people who want to be like them, not many of them are very old. And it was echoed in Eden's final message is that there aren't that many old trans people. They're not allowed to age, really. The world takes the life that they would have lived from them a lot of the time, far too often. And it's incredibly unfortunate. I only knew her as Solera and the Sun Cult, and she had banger shitposts. She really did. We're truly worse off without her. And you should continue to fight for her. We should. The story reminds me, is incredibly eerily similar to a story that made waves not too long ago. The story of Leela Alcorn, another trans woman who was forcefully detransitioned and was not accepted by her family as well. With this person, with Leela, if you don't remember the story, what happened is that she was in Ohio. She wanted to live as her true self, as a woman. Her family would not allow her to. They kept her away from HRT. They said that she wouldn't be able to get any surgeries or hormones and or anything along those lines. And then forcefully sent to a conversion therapy camp where they tortured her, basically told her to hate herself, taught her to be disgusted by her own body and live the way that her parents wanted her to live and not the way that she truly was. And this is the same thing. And even the same notes, the final messages were eerily similar in the way that they were taken advantage of, disrespected, and they were not accepted as the human beings that they were and did not have a future because of how their parents refused to accept who they were and how they wished for a better life for trans people in the future. That was in 2014. Eden's passing is here in 2023. And we haven't gotten much better. And in some ways, we've gotten worse. Now, things do get worse a lot of the times before they get better. And in many places, things have gotten far better, like Minnesota, like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, as well as Michigan. Things have gotten far better for a lot of trans people. And those protections are there. In a lot of other places, either nothing's happened or things have gotten worse as well. What we need is to protect a lot of these people. What we need is to be what America should be. A land for all people to be able to live who they would like to be and not be tortured emotionally, physically, or otherwise by people who hate them. There's no love here. There's no looking out for what's best here in any of this. It's all simply hate and division that makes these people act this way. If you're somebody in America as well, if you're a trans person in America or abroad, I implore you to hold on. There's the Trevor Project that I will be posting under this video where you can reach out and talk to people and find resources that you need. America isn't good enough at the moment, as Eden's passing proves. But Canada has a lot of protections for trans people and also has LGBT asylum. And there are organizations, companies, and NGOs that can sponsor you and your asylum status, getting out of a dangerous situation and putting you in a place where you can actually be taken care of. Spain is another one, but for my audience is mostly American. Eden was in America, and a lot of the people who are going to be hearing this are going to be in America as well. And even abroad, Canada is seen as a great place for trans people to move, with a lot of resources to actually take care of you, because we are just not good enough yet. We are just being held back at the moment by way too many conservatives who just want trans people dead. And that's the end of it. So I beg of you to hold on, if you can, and never feel sorry for who you are. And never give in to the lies that they tell you that there's something wrong with you. The only thing that's wrong is what's wrong with this world and how they treated you. You deserve love. You deserve safety. And you deserve a future. And nothing that anyone can do will change that fact. Thank you, Eden, for everything that you did and for who you were. I'm sorry we couldn't do anything to help. What she did was incredibly brave, and she is incredibly strong to hold out for as long as she did. And that should make anybody proud, especially her friends and other trans people looking at this. There's been a lot of people who are involved in this. Michael Picalto and his assistant and his helper fixer should be in jail. Ellen Cole and Michael Picalto should both be in prison for life, if I'm going to be honest with you. They killed somebody, and there's nothing else that you can tell me that will change my mind on that. They killed her. They did. You can't throw somebody handcuffed into a den of lions, just kick them in and watch them get torn apart and say that, oh, it was their fault, maybe they should have stood up and done something. She was groomed, she was abducted, she was deported, and she was killed. That's what happened. And it's important to remember that. That's what really happened. There is no minority, there is no queer person who died by suicide who was not killed. They were murdered. That's what happened. We need worldwide, but starting in our neighborhood, statewide, citywide, countrywide, at this point in time, protections for queer people. This is what we need. And it's incredibly sad that this is what it takes for these things to happen. Nobody cares really about minority rights until one of us dies. And that's just the truth. Nothing moves without blood having to be spilled when you can easily ignore minority suffering until you can't anymore. Everybody ignores it until it's in your face and you can't anymore. And so people choose to do typically one of three things. It moves them to action to do something to change it. They do nothing, or they see it, they like it, and they become worse. A lot of conservatives see it and think, well, it's their fault, and then just simply become worse. Our job is not to do nothing. Our job is to make sure this never happens again. That's what progressivism is for. There have been way too many times and way too many deaths to even count or read off. But this is the price that a lot of minorities are forced to pay when they're being taken advantage of and they're being discriminated against. Is the only way when things actually move is when some of them are sacrificed to the system that kills them. And I think it's amazing that the story has been picked up by many major news outlets. The Washington Post, Vice, the Rolling Stone, Pink News. So many people have picked up this story to talk about what happened. But it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to actually do something about it. And so that's our job now, to actually do something about it, to make sure that her death is not something that is simply just forgotten, but is something that it means something, that the life that she lived meant something, even to more than her friends and to us, to mean something more to the world. So her wish, even though she may not live on, her wish to affect positive change for her community lives on. I think that's the least that we can do for her. And nationwide protections for trans people, period, and a new addition to the Civil Rights Act, or a new Civil Rights Act, is something that's vitally needed to make sure that this never happens again, and actual justice and persecution to the people who groomed, abducted, and killed her. That's what needs to happen. Now, I called this Thank You, Eden. As you saw, I wrote Thank You, Eden, for being herself and for affecting such positive change, at least in the community that I know. And so I've been seeing what other people have been saying about these things. I've been seeing what a lot of people have been doing, and it's been incredibly heartwarming to see good things be able to rise from this. Cori Bush talked about it as well. And I hope this is being talked about on the floor, and it needs to happen soon, that we get some national level protections, because the states are not strong enough to be able to save trans people and other minorities from what conservatives want to do to them. But with that being said, you may have noticed that a lot of this in this segment has been mourning. And I think that's a really important thing to do, to mourn for people who are gone, and especially people who were done wrong. But I also think it's wrong to simply just mourn the life that was lost and not celebrate the life that was lived. You cannot mourn something that never lived. And Eden not only lived, she breathed life into a lot of other people who didn't feel like they had anything else to live for. She was a light in their life. And so that's why I asked on Twitter the other day if you could provide me with things that you remember her by. And I'd like to do a little celebration of the life that Eden lived through some of the people who she knew and interacted with, either in real life or online. I saved some of those responses here, and they're really a beautiful thing, if I'm going to be honest with you. She was one of the first people I talked to on Twitter in 2021. She was super kind and one of the funniest people on here. She loved geeking out over DC movies or geek history with her. I loved geeking out over DC movies or Greek history with her. She was also determined to live a life. She was so determined to live the life she hoped for. That's some real strength right there, honestly. I remember her always being so humble and kind. I'd hype up her Hello Kitty clothes and pink lemonade hair. I remember her shit posts and how we would go back and forth trying to make each other laugh. It was one of my first mutuals when I first got into the space about 2 years ago. My favorite thing about Eden, she did when she came out, she was in Saudi Arabia, was her staying with her parents. She was reading Capital. When her father walked in, he simply asked, "Why are you reading? It's illegal." And I found that interaction hilarious. Can you imagine that? Just sitting there chilling, reading, walking. "Why are you reading?" Huh? You're what? Her parents were like super fundamentalist type of crazy type Muslim, but that's what you got to do to get that far up in the Saudi crown prince. Was that a joke or was he serious? It was serious. It was serious. Welcome to Saudi Arabia, honestly. This interaction. This is her old Twitter at. I seek only Allah. I seek only Allah, the Almighty's validation. Brothers and sisters, can I get an Alhamdulillah? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Oh my God. Wait, how long does this go on for? Holy shit. Oh my goodness. Hey, listen, she was known for her posts. Saudi's a terrible country, horrible country. I love how kind Eden was when I was new to the Twitter space. She made people feel valued. Despite never recording a single minute of music, she cooked up Twitter's greatest bars ever. I heard she had some bars. I never saw them personally, but I heard she had some killer bars. That's a wild thing. I don't know why I specifically remember one day we had a long discussion about which Blade album was most approachable for new fans. Might not seem like much, but it was one of those small fun interactions that stuck with me. What do you guys think? What do you guys think's the best Blade album for newbies to hop into, for new drainers? Just listen to Gorillaz instead. None, just run. You can't run from Drain Gang, it comes for you. She knew how to make people laugh. Literally would brighten up any VC she joined. I saw some stuff from from her Discord. I remember like one message she sent in all caps. I love estrogen. It's a good ass meme. One of her friends actually did an interview with The Independent. I loved her. When she got here, she was very anxious about the whole situation. Her and we would talk to each other for hours on my porch. We shared movies and music. I cooked for her. My son in particular loved her more than anything. She would play with him and teach him things like this cute little game where you'd run up and hug someone, and she'd say, "It's a Saudi thing." She really cared for him as if they were related. My spouse and I appreciated her so much. We gave her a bracelet with the word "aunt" etched into it. Our son and her were very close. We'd all go out sometimes. I took her to get a manicure for the first time. We got piercings and tattoos together for the first time. We had a pretty good relationship. I mean, we would argue a lot too in between stuff because we were both very extroverted, argumentative people, but it always ended fine. It was always over such silly stuff. And she was just the funniest person I think I've probably ever met, and she was a light. She was a light. I tell you what, she really was. That girl was a light. What a lovely person. Yeah, she was an incredible person. The story about her becoming a surrogate aunt really moved me. Hey, that's what good people do. They help those who need it. I'm friends with people who were close to her IRL. Was looking forward to moving. She was looking forward to moving. Sorry, was looking forward to moving to their area and start a new life. Was expecting her to talk to another trans person IRL. Everyone always talked about how funny and outgoing Eden was. She was intimidating in the best way. She cared. One of our very few convos on the timeline was about how cute was about how cute her hair would look in purple and our next hair colors. I actually ended up doing mine purple after that. I was between that and pink, and I always loved seeing her new hair colors. She looked especially nice in purple. This is one of the big pictures of her with her evil Hello Kitty. That's Hello Kitty, right? Not like, I know that's like a Hello Kitty character. I know that's not literally Hello Kitty. Kurumi. Oh. It's a Sanrio character, yes. Base. She was such funny and quirky. I love her. She's quirky. Quick-witted woman. She was such a fighter and stood up for what she believed in until the bitter end. The times I could help her with food or rent were always appreciated because she was someone I intuitively felt was trying her hardest to get by. You can just feel that in some people. When like life gets them down, but they're always fighting. There's just something about certain people who you always know are fighting. She was one of those. She was smart and innovative. She always found a way to innovate new slurs about Italians while everybody was just calling me Mussolini. Olive monkey. That's a visionary right there. Okay. We lost one of the brightest minds in our space. Okay. Lost one of the brightest minds. Our Einstein here. Sorry about someone who lived with her. We would sit on the front porch together and smoke cigs while chatting and supporting each other through very difficult times in both of our lives. While she was in a safe place for getting conned by Michael. Sorry, when she was in a safe space by getting conned by Michael, we would end. We went out drinking. Once she got so blackout drunk, she had to be carried out from the car to get her home. It was frustrating at the time, but in retrospect, it was pretty funny and it was a good bonding experience. After I moved out of that place, we were sharing. We mostly lost contact, and I regret that because I miss her more than I ever expected. So it's a good reason why you should stay in contact and try and reach out to the people who you know and who you love. You'll never know when the world may take them from you. You can cherish those moments that you had. If you can't, you can cherish those moments that you had with them because they're important and they're a gift. Some really great people can easily come in and out of your life. So I think that you should take some time and slow down and enjoy the time that you're given with them because you don't know if you're going to get any more. Does this make sense? Male, female, boy. So male, there's the male category, and inside the male category, there's the female category. So female, I mean, it is true that females are just females. You just add fee onto males. And then there's a boy, and boys are just kind of like baby females if you think about it. I mean, you know, back in the day, they used to call everybody who was like under the age of like 6 a girl. Like they're all girls, you know? So this makes a lot of sense if you think about it, okay? Quirked up twink boy wife makes total sense, honestly. And there's boy in here, and then there's female girl, GF. And then GF transcends all 3 categories from male, female, and boy. It was in there the whole time. I think it was in there the whole time. All males got a little female in them. It's honestly making sense. Not in the slightest. What's the confusion? What's wrong? What do you mean you don't get it? I mean, it's literally right there, Logan. She wrote it out for you. What the hell? Some people will never get it. This is proof that you hear all the stories about her working on a higher plane than a lot of the people she was around. This is proof that she was working on a higher plane. I first met her through that past about her ID photo. She was the first fellow trans Arab I had met and brought me so much joy. I became active on her account because she gave me a specific sense of community that I never felt before. She was always so funny and kind. I was going through time and similarities between her family and mine. She gave me so much inspiration. She was always so welcoming, and I enjoyed every interaction I had with her. She already was and currently is the leader for trans people that she dreamt of being. And I think that's the truest thing I've ever heard in my life. She helped me calm down when I was posting about panicking one time. Now that's love right there. Everybody. She cared about everybody she could. She was without question the funniest poster. Literally every morning, checking Twitter, literally every morning, checking Twitter, she would have said something that made me laugh. We would talk about anime, and she always had amazing taste and interesting analysis. It's surreal being the last thing she liked to. Me when Poo Poo Bennett comes. Listen, you gotta listen, okay? She may have come from a religious family, but she knew about the real forbidden fruit. That Poo Poo Bennett chocolate hole. If there's any chocolate pipe I want to get stuck in, buddy, I tell you what. She's literally an artisan. She was an artist. I don't get it. I'll tell you when you're older, okay? Truly a mind without compare. Second to none. We were in a call and hadn't talked in a month because of a move. We have both started hormones. Started about the same week as each other. And we both broke down crying, saying we missed each other. And I was afraid to lose her. And she said to me, Hannah, you're my sister. She was so lovely. She was beautiful, intelligent, and had so many jokes. Her humor was masterfully crafted on a whim. She was a popular shit poster for a reason. I'm missing her. The playlist I made for her and this tweet. I know Abby loves making a playlist. That's their big thing. Shout out to my strongest defender. I remember this. She unfortunately deleted this tweet, but this was an A tier tweet. What the person at the counter sees on my ID versus me now. I like this tweet. This is one of her best tweets. This is golden. And then this got reposted. If you don't know the story, so she made this tweet. It was a big tweet. It was hilarious. She unfortunately deleted it, but it's immortalized here. Like she is. And it got reposted onto Instagram, right? By her strongest defender, her strongest chaser, most powerful, most dedicated. Reposted it. And was like, she bad. Someone responded, I know how the fuck he morphed into that creature. No, I'm saying like I would jiggle her booty cheeks on the first day. Some cringe beta transphobe, thinking that she's a man. Strongest defender comes in. That's a bad bitch. In Inshallah. I'm praying for this guy too. He never got to see his dream. I know he's feeling bad too. We're all suffering out here. Jiggle her booty cheeks on the first day. This dude is crazy. Listen, he knew what he wanted. That's why she reposted him, okay? Girls love a guy who knows what they want. It's important. Eden knew how to make me laugh. She was one of the funniest shit posters that ever lived. Even in her darkest days, she had a sharp sense of humor that never failed to cheer me up. She was everything I believe a human should be. Me going out to bars with her was amazing. Talking to her was amazing. Her smile, laugh, and happiness brightened up the room. She was always incredibly gentle and kind, respectful to the utmost, genuinely one of the best people I've ever had the chance to meet. And this is her here, in a little hat. With her little hat. It's amazing. She had a lot of friends. I just wonder what she would feel with this, like, if she ever got to see this massive outpouring. She's looking down now, watching all of you. That's why you need to make sure you don't act up. She's shit posting about you from above the clouds, okay? Don't get clowned on. Stay safe. You think she's gone? You think it's safe now? She knows. She's keeping her eye on you. But not act up. Make her proud. She was literally one of the strongest and most determined people I have ever known. She worked tirelessly, though, through every awful thing that came to her, all while joking about it and saying that she was going to do great things. And she did. You can't look at everything that was happening. I think at the peak, about 2 days ago, I saw about 47,000 tweets about her, all giving her love. Over 40,000. She was trending, actually. And I thought that was truly amazing. It shocked me, honestly. And she deserved it. All trans people who are killed like this deserve it. And she did too. There are other people as well. I believe this is in France. I know, I get it, France. But France decided to do at least a single W for once in their lives. Literally for once. And at this protest for trans rights in France, there was somebody who was spotted with a sign with her name on it and her face on it. France redeemed for once. Yeah, French protests are nothing to laugh at. They're serious and they know how to get it done. And also in Maryland, there's a new piece of work of her name out there. So she'll be immortalized as well. Yeah, if you think I was gonna let something slide like this, what do you think? I'm transphobic or something? Huh? You think that little of me? You think I'd let a whole graffiti post about her slide while we're doing this celebration of her life? You really believe so? Huh? Listen, we didn't talk that much, but I'm not gonna let shit like that slide. What the hell? Have some faith in me. And put some of that faith in her as well. I know that this is going to lead to more trans people being saved. It's incredibly sad that this is what happens, where blood needs to be spilled for trans, queer, LGBT, League of Letters, Alphabet Mafia, and all other minorities and marginalized groups to be able to see justice. But if it's something that we can't stop all the time, if we can't save everybody, we need to remember that we can do good still to the ones who we couldn't help, to the ones who we couldn't save, by remembering them, honoring their legacy, celebrating their life, and making sure that we do our best to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's all we can do. So if you need to mourn, please mourn. And don't spend any of your time that you should be spending mourning on losers, freaks who want to simply make you sad, the rabble rousers who never cared about any of this, who want to simply take some of your time that you could be using making the world a better place and helping her make good on her promise to be something more. Thank you, Eden, for being here. Thank you, Eden, for leaving a piece of you in everyone who you met, branding up their lives with your sun cult, and making the world a better place in the best way that you knew how. Your shit posting, your love, your kindness. I'm sorry what they did to you, but they can't hurt you anymore. So I hope you rest. You deserve it.